All right, Dusty, I got a question for you, and I need 100% honesty right now from you
What's up?
because everybody and their fucking sister has been telling me to watch Landman.
It's a good show.
It's I'm more. Is it a good show? Because I got this clip and I watched this the other day because somebody linked it to me and was like basically making fun of Taylor Sheridan's writing or just his shows in general. And
Yeah.
I gotta say, the writing and acting in this scene here is not looking good. Is this indicative of like the whole series so far?
I mean, it's not all preachy. I mean, there's some preachiness to it because it's Taylor Sheridan and it's oil industry, I guess. But I mean, there's the
Like, not only is it preachy, but it seems a little bit of like propaganda, if I'm being honest, like anti clean energy type of thing.
yeah.
And like it, I don't know. Like, I love Taylor Sheridan. You know, I do.
I mean, there's some truth to the monologue he gives here, though. Like everybody thinks that
There is
green energy is just all this clean energy, but it's dirty as fuck when you think about it. Like the pits and the stuff you have to dig for the precious minerals to make the batteries and all the oil it takes to build all that shit. He's not wrong.
No, there's a shred of truth to it. It's just this didn't come off like that. This kind of comes off the way Yellowstone came off, where like it's very preachy about like the life of a cowboy is gonna die, and like this kind of feels like that a little bit. And I'm just wondering.
I mean, well, oil isn't going anywhere.
No, of course, but
we rely on oil so much, it's not going anywhere.
I'm just simply saying, is there a shtick now that this guy's developing? Like, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I don't. The lioness doesn't.
I don't think Mayor of Kingstown is preachy.
It definitely has a perspective for sure, but I don't know.
I also just don't think the acting is generally very good in this scene. I don't know. Maybe it's just this particular scene, but
Have you watched a lot of Billy Bob Thornton's shows? Like he's got that Amazon show where he's the lawyer and he does
No.
like the investigative work.
No.
He takes on the California water because it's all privately owned now.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's like that. He does these monologues like this where it's what's the guy from Con Air? The bad guy. Oh my god.
John Malkovich?
Yeah, John Malkovich. You know, he has his shticks. Like if you can pull up a bunch of clips of John Malkovich from like Con Air.
Yeah.
And we're like it all sounds exactly the same what he's saying. It's just the pitch and the tone of it.
Yeah. I don't know. This girl too, she doesn't I don't know, she's just it's kind of just rubbing me the wrong way, this clip. I don't know. It made me a little bit worried because I wasn't gonna watch it like immediately, but I was getting ready to probably like start watching it here soon. But now I'm a little bit worried because Yellowstone ended bad, and now there's this. I'm just like,
there's a couple of weird things in the show, like early on, like he does definitely go into like showing you the worst of like being
a landman,
pipe fitter, or a landman, or an oil man, like
yeah.
It's all about this kid. He's the son, Billy Bob Thornton's son, and he's starting from the bottom.
Now he's
work his way up,
yeah,
and he wants to own his own oil company.
Okay.
So he's starting at the bottom, and he comes into like all these catastrophes. Like somebody dies every fucking day. That's definitely not the case, but it's drama and it's for television.
Sure.
So you kind of get it, but it's like holy shit, man, tone it down just a little bit. But
yeah.
This is Taylor Sheridan. He came from Sons of Anarchy. He got pushed out. He wasn't happy about it. And then he wrote his own shit that had some very similar vibes. And it blew up because it was Western-esque or working man-esque. And a lot of people who watch television like that shit. So it's popular, and I get it. I like it. But to each their own.
So far, I mean, I liked, like I said, the first two seasons.
It's not his best show, but it's good.
Okay, fair enough. None of the shows have quite lived up yet to his 3 movies, which, in my opinion, are masterpieces: Wind River, Sicario 1 and 2, and also the one with fucking, oh my god, what is it called? It's so good, and I can't think of it. Hell or High Water. There we go.
Oh yeah, Hell or High Water. That's right, the bank robber one.
An amazing movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I watched that movie. I've seen it 4 or 5 times now, and it's not even that old. It's a great movie.
Me too. His shows just haven't quite.
The Lioness is actually pretty good. I don't think you've started that one yet. That one has Sicario vibes, but it's about an all-female program, so it gets a little preachy both ways, which is kind of interesting.
Right. Okay. Well, I don't know. We'll see. This clip here just it worried me a little bit. It's got a little bit of too much cheese in it for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of times when Billy Bob goes into a monologue. There's like one time where, because they're down in Texas and they like have to mingle with the cartel because this is all oil land, and the cartel's down there running drugs, and they're like, yeah, trucks disappear, planes disappear, they show back up. We don't ask questions. We don't want to kick the hornet's nest. So he gets kidnapped one time. He's like, are you fucking stupid? Like, you know what you just did? Like, you're going to have, drones and the CIA and everybody down your neck dropping bombs on your kid's fucking birthday party.
Right.
For what you just, he does. Yeah, I don't know. It's just the dramatization is overly done. But yeah, I don't know.
That's fair.
I like it.
All right. Well, that's fair.
What the hell are we supposed to use, man? Harsh language?
Well, welcome back to the Harsh Language Podcast, folks. This is episode 121. We're talking about Anora later on in the show, so stick around for that. Picking up quite the... it's getting quite the buzz around award season now because it's cleaning house.
Yes.
The underdog kind of coming from behind in the wake of... Well... everybody was all up that.
I feel like Demi Moore is the underdog in The Substance.
I don't know,
because horror movies don't really she's definitely the underdog.
I don't know if I'd call that a horror movie though, but yeah, it's definitely horror.
I mean, body horror parody is what it's titled. Yeah, it's a body horror parody. So. Well,
everybody was pretty much like in the tank for that other movie, but that the actress. The one about the trans person like leaving like the cartel to have have surgery. The one with the actress's name. The actress, she's like supposedly like a crazy racist now. So like, there's been like some controversy the last couple weeks with her, and so I don't know. Maybe maybe that movie has to fall so that Anora could rise to its rightful place, because. Might be the best movie of 2024, in my opinion, but we're going to talk about that later on.
Ooh,
bold statement. We've had a lot of really good stuff this year, actually.
Bold strategy, Cotton.
How was your week, Mr. Dusty?
It was good. Busy, super busy. Yeah.
With what?
Yeah, it was good. Just doing stuff around the house, getting stuff done, getting more settled in, and
that's fair.
Getting in the rhythm of things. Yeah.
Have you gotten in the rhythm of the night, or no?
No.
Okay.
I watched a couple of movies this week.
Yeah.
There's a decent copy of Brave New World, and I watched it. I didn't really watch it, but I kind of watched it.
Oh, I actually might go see it tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's got mixed reviews. If you look at Rotten Tomatoes, in fact, Marvin just messaged us. He couldn't be here today, but he is with us in spirit, and he sent us this Rotten Tomatoes rating here. It's 50% rotten from the critics and 80% audience score. And this actually tracks with what I've been seeing online, because a lot of people are split on it. It's one of the more split Marvel movies I've seen. Some people are saying it's like not as bad as you're hearing, and some people are like, it's not good, but it's fun and entertaining. And then some people are just downright shitting on it. So I don't know.
Well, you have varying levels of what people equate to. You have this is the worst Captain America movie that Marvel has done.
I mean, I believe that. Yeah. I mean, the first two Captain America movies are fantastic. Hard to top.
That's a high bar. And then you have, this is not the worst of the MCU. This is not the worst of this phase, although it opened at 20 million yet less, I think, than Ant-Man 3 domestically. Rob Liefeld popped that one on Twitter, which I thought was hilarious.
You know, I had something to say about that dude, but continue what you were saying.
Oh, no, I was just, So yeah, I watched that. It's mid. You can tell there were a lot of reshoots. There's a lot of. I watched Ryan Airy and Screen Crush's take on it, and his buddy Thorngood. There's some guy on this show that complained about like some of the dialogue that seems pretty dumb. Like in the very beginning, it's like, has anybody heard from Betty, my daughter? Like
to remind
what?
people like who she is, because
obviously, yeah. The forced exposition is there's a lot of it. The movie itself isn't that bad, but they missed some real big opportunities. So it's just a mid movie for me.
Yeah, that's fair. That's kind of how I thought about it. I personally didn't really give a shit. Ed went to see it. Shout out to Ed. He said it was like all right. He said it wasn't bad. Wasn't great.
It's a mid.
Yeah,
it's mid.
But I might go see it tomorrow with a couple buddies, so I will keep you guys posted on that.
What was the other movie I watched?
Yeah, what else did you get into?
I watched Miles Teller and Anna Taylor-Joy and The Gorge.
Oh, The Gorge. Yeah, people have been talking about that. How is it?
That's fun little movie. Interesting plot. I don't really want to reveal it, but it's fascinating.
It's got a 6.8. I thought about maybe putting it on the list for next month.
I would watch it again if you guys wanted to review it. It's a good movie. I enjoyed it.
I was interested once I found out it was Scott Derrickson, because I generally like his movies.
Yeah.
So, okay. I've been watching a lot of. Me and Ed been watching a lot of stuff. Shout out. We've been watching. I made him watch. Whatchamacallit? Rebel Ridge.
Rebel Ridge. That's right.
So
that was one of my. It's on my top 5. So that was a great one.
Great movie. I made Ed watch it. He loved it. We had to watch it in 2 sittings though, because he passed out. But
that's all right.
Yeah. But great movie. Rewatched that. Ed and I also watched the Witcher animation, Sirens of the Deep. That I forgot about it. I had seen it on my thing that it popped up, and we watched that the other night. It was really good, actually. It's also getting shit on online for various reasons. It's woke.
Oh,
yeah, a little woke. It's based on a short story. It's based on one of the stories of The Witcher, and in it, I mean, I don't want to ruin it for you, but they changed the ending, and I think people took issue with it. But I thought it was really good. Really fun animation, like great music, the voice acting. They brought back Doug Cockle, who did the voice of Geralt in the games, so like that felt pretty good hearing his voice again.
Yeah.
So
cool.
That was good. What else did I watch? We watched Deadpool and Wolverine again, and it was the first time that I'd seen it since its theatrical release. And Ed and I were watching it, and Ed is like a comic book guru. I read, you know that. And he points out like a lot of Easter eggs and stuff. And there's one in the movie that I didn't even notice, and it's at the end in that last fight, like that big fight sequence when they fight all the Deadpools. The shoe store that they get thrown into is called Liefeld Just Feet. Liefeld Just Feet.
Liefeld's Just Feet. Yeah, it's a joke to him because he can't draw feet. Yeah. You can't draw a lot of things according to some. Not everybody's a fan of the guy that can't really draw Deadpool.
Yeah.
That's a Liefeld. That's the last thing. This is the last Liefeld comic he's doing, actually, by the way. So I picked that up. But yeah. Just feet. Yeah.
I was laughing.
That was funny.
Because like he's out here complaining that he didn't get credited and all this shit. It's like, dude, there's like it's like literally in the movie. Like, what are you talking about?
Well, that's an homage to him as a joke. Yes, certainly. But I mean, the credits are credits. I mean, those.
I understand the argument, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you're being
yeah. Well, the funny thing is somebody was saying that they filmed a newer movie. And they used the same set, which is that street, because they do a lot of their filming in London. I think that set was from London. Okay. So it's that same street. They don't know if it's going to be like, Fantastic Four. That's what it was. They used the same set. So I think it was Ryan Airy maybe pontificating that is possible that the store still be there in a Fantastic Four, maybe alternate universe, because it's multiverse story right now.
Okay.
Because it's the same street. So that would be interesting because same set, but yeah. So I don't know. I just thought it was funny. It's like I get I get his complaint, but they're not like, it's not like they're fully just like pretending he doesn't exist. So Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I
Um,
mean, it's been a funny blow up of a like divorce, whatever you want to call it. But
yeah.
I mean,
I finished season 2 of My Adventures with Superman. You haven't started that, right? You haven't watched that show yet?
no, actually, I
Really
just
good show.
started season 3 of Resident Alien finally. So I'm
Oh yeah,
burning through that with the old lady right now. It's fun.
it's a great show. Love that show so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah. My Adventures with Superman is great. Great Superman content. I want all. I'm. It's so great that he's just back in the limelight. You know where he belongs. It's been a really long time, and we're just getting great Superman content from like all over the place. You got you had Superman and Lois, now My Adventures with Superman, which is really popular. Superman movies coming out, and they're marketing the shit out of it. They just did a promo with like Shaq, like joking about fitting in the Superman suit. So I'm glad, and it was funny because Ed and I were watching it together over Discord. And we were hanging out with some other people, and one of our one of our buddies goes, "Why is there so much Superman shit lately?" And Ed just comes out and goes, "Because he's the GOAT." Without even like hesitation, it just he came out like before the other guy even finished his sentence. He was like, "Because he's the GOAT," and I was like, "Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's exactly why." There should never be a time period of like of a lack of Superman content. So
Well, there has been though.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It's
relatively
great to have him
speaking.
back.
We got your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man too. Have you started that yet?
No,
I've been watching it with the boy. He's really enjoying it. We're about 3 or 4 episodes in. It's pretty good so far.
no, I
It's
haven't
fun
got.
little. I'm interested. I mean, people were complaining on the animation. I don't know. I think it's fine. I'm not.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't care too much for the animation or the way it looks. It looks a little
Right.
goofy, in my opinion. But I don't know. I could be swayed by a good story. Like, I don't particularly like the animation style in the Spider-Verse movies either. But I know I'm in like the minority. I don't think it's bad by any stretch. I don't like that. I don't like how they do the slower like frames per second type of thing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because he's animated in a lower frames per second than the actual background stuff, so it like kind of looks
Right.
jarring. The Ninja Turtles movie did that as well. Mutant Mayhem, sort of. It's like it's a little choppy, like the animation style. But that one, strange enough, I really liked it because it had like it felt like it felt like New York street art, that movie. And the reason I'm talking about it is because I actually watched that with Ed too this week. I made him watch that movie, which he also enjoyed. Also fell asleep through, and we had to watch it in 2 sittings. But yeah, I love the art in that movie. I'd forgotten how good it was because like we talked about it when we reviewed it. It's like a very New York movie. A lot of New York Easter eggs, like little things like that, and like the art style feels like New York, like street art to me. I think they did that really great. But anyhow, yeah. Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
It happens.
I'm not like super thrilled with the art, but whatever. I'll watch it. I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah. It's got that comic book strip feel the way they do it. Like
Yeah.
they did that in the other Spider-Man stuff as well. So they're kind of keeping that, but it's just a different art style.
Yeah.
Really, not an animation style. So I don't know. But yeah, it's easy to fall asleep stuff if you're getting tired. You know what? I almost fell asleep too.
He works. He's a hardworking guy, Ed.
The last episode of Severance. Yeah, I was sitting there watching it and I closed my eyes just for, like a minute or two. I was listening to it and then I heard
Were you bored?
Miss CJ's voice. No, I was just tired. Not really. This was actually a really good episode. I enjoyed it.
Did you watch the episode
I heard
of Marvin
Miss
and I
CJ's
did?
voice. So no, I have not watched you guys' take on it.
Yeah.
So I'll have to watch that after that. But yeah, I thought they actually did some good moving forward in this one, showing Mark's whole take on how things are going and whatnot. So yeah,
I had suggested to Marvin that like this is like a turning point now for this next half of the season. Like it's gonna get real fucking crazy.
Yeah. That was a good turning point episode because I felt like I was being drug along, and finally it feels like we're getting some cogs in the wheels, moving things a little faster.
A dude who plays Milchek, man, he is so good.
He is. Yeah.
He's a very like everybody in that show is great, but he's really good. Yeah. So what else? Been watching Mythic Quest still. Great show. If you're not watching it, you should.
Nice.
Everybody should. It's like a sleeper.
Mm.
And I just started. I finished Yellow Jackets. The first episode dropped yesterday.
Oh, really? Season 3? Is that
Yeah.
what we're on?
You're a season behind, right? You didn't watch season 2?
Yes, I didn't watch season 2. I might have Christina watch season 1, and if she likes it, we'll go through it. But I'm not antsy to go watch it.
Season 2 was good because it was losing me a little bit by the end of season 1, and season 2 like kind of like came back around.
I feel like I started to watch season
did.
2 because that's where she was like eating the dirt and having the weird dreams, right?
Well,
She
it
was,
started
the
in
kid figured
season
out she
1,
was the
but
bad guy.
Yes,
Oh,
yeah. No, you definitely started. I remember because I think you watched probably like 3 episodes or so, and then you were kind of like, I'm giving up for now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 3 dropped. It's it's good. I don't know. I'm losing my patience a little bit with the shtick that it's like flirting with paranormal all the time, but never really quite confirming or denying it. It's just like kind of just like teasing you. And so that it bothers me that they haven't like really leaned into it one way or the other. They keep it mysterious, which is fine, but 3 seasons.
But it's not after 3 seasons. That's that Walking Dead shit. Like, fucking tell us the goddamn story, please.
I want to start to get a little bit of like a story about like what's going on. But I will say Elijah Wood was in the 2nd season, and he's back in this one, and he's breathed new life into the show for me. He's so great.
He's a great actor. I like him.
And he's very charming, and so that's been good. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's all I've been watching. I rewatched a lot of stuff with Ed that Ed hadn't gotten to see, and so
cool. Well, we got this week. Speaking of season 3, Jack Reacher's coming out. Like,
I know.
That's really the only thing I'm looking forward to. I was pissed because I thought it came out on Valentine's Day for whatever reason. And you're like, oh my God, Jack Reacher next week. I'm so excited. I'm like, yeah, I thought it was this week. I'm fucking mad.
I forgot it was
wait
February.
a whole other week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 2 days now. 17th. Today's the 17th right now. So
yes,
because that's the 20th.
Yeah.
So what's that, Thursday?
Yep.
Yeah. So hyped for that.
Did you see the new clip, the arm wrestling clip?
No, I'm kind of staying away from clips.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it was pretty good little.
I mean,
pretty good little teaser, like Jack Reacher style.
It's a hard balancing act because, obviously we do a podcast where we talk about movies and TV shows.
Yeah.
But also like, and I believe me, I love trailers and I love the hype train shit, but I don't want to get like too spoiled. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just a scene that shows an interaction between him and the big dude they cast to be his enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like one of their first interactions is just like 2 or 3 minutes of them talking to each other. And it's just pretty funny. It's about arm wrestling because there's 2 big dudes. So
it's going to be a cool twist this season if they introduce a character, which I think is what they're doing, that's bigger than him, stronger than him, and like actually gives him a run for his money. It'll be cool to see. Kind of like when like the Punisher took on like the Russian,
Yes.
So that's cool. All right. Well, we can move on to the news. Before we move on, folks, if you're enjoying the conversation, don't forget to leave a like on the video. We really appreciate it. And at any point you feel like you might want to subscribe, hit that subscriber button. We do this usually once a week, and it's a great way for you to get notified when new videos come out and stuff like that. We're also talking about Severance each week and maybe some other shows down in the future. So if you like us, subscribe. What's been going on in the news this week, Dusty? Anything good?
Yeah, there's a couple things. Let me get this comic book out of the way.
There was one big thing that you didn't even have on your list here in your notes, and I'm upset with you, but we'll save it.
I didn't?
You didn't. Not that I see. This one here, this piece right here.
Probably not. No, I missed some stuff sometimes.
Right. Well, I'm going to open up with this.
This was a busy week for me, so I didn't really get a chance to do the news
I'm just
thoroughly. But
I'm just busting your balls. But the news dropped a couple of days ago that our boy, Vince Gilligan, his next show is going to be a psychological sci-fi that explores the human condition in a surprising way. Compared to classics like E.T., Rhea Seehorn will star as the lead.
Mm-hmm.
And it's already wrapped filming. And if it didn't sound good enough, it's coming to Apple TV. Whoops.
Yeah.
So Vince Gilligan plus Apple TV, like, oh my God, this might be the greatest show of all time. Because Apple TV's just been putting out banger after banger after banger. We've been like kind of glazing Apple TV for a while now.
I've always been a big fan, even since when Severance came, or no, C, ever since C came out, which is not even their best show.
So very, very excited for that. But I turn it over to you, Newsman. What you got for us this week?
All right. Well, we were talking about Brave New World a little bit. Apparently, I saw this tweet. I don't have a link for it, but apparently it needs about 500 million to break even. Now, we talked about this a little bit, about how the standard Marvel movie is about $250,000.
Right.
And then you take in reshoots and promotions and everything else. It can fluctuate. But apparently that's what it needs. It got 192 million opening, to some criticism, obviously. But while promoting the film, Mackie did reveal that shooting for Avengers begins in March or April, I think is what he said. It was out and about. So, yeah, that's coming up real soon. So the Doctor Doom Avengers movies.
Yeah.
Underway. So we're going to start getting a whole lot of news about that.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah.
I've been seeing some stuff.
Didn't really...
Sorry to interrupt you. I've been seeing some stuff about like how to close off Kang's sort of like fake story arc that never even started, that it's going to be Doom who like kills him, I guess, or something.
Yeah,
crazy.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, there's rumors that they're bringing about, because that was like one thing I kind of agree with My Time to Shine Hello's take on it. He quoted some a scene, I guess, where it showed all the Kangs. He said one of the biggest things where the MCU fucked up was showing us that every Kang was Jonathan Majors, and so they can't really recast.
I mean, they couldn't
kind of
have
just
known.
have to bring him back and kill him off. Yeah, they couldn't have.
I think they could recast
obviously,
him.
but
somebody on Twitter said.
I mean, this is where, but like RDJ, they rolled the dice on him. He was like cokehead, fucking rehab. Like he was probably about ready to be done with movies and his career.
Yeah,
and Iron Man saved his life. So
for sure. Somebody on I think he had recovered by then, but
he had. Yes,
someone on Twitter said that they should replace Kang with Tremel Tillman, who is from Severance, Mr. Milchick.
Yeah.
Which I think would be fucking dope. I want to see this guy in
intimidating.
Anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think he would be great. Mr. Milchick in fucking Marvel. That'd be sick.
All right. Well, speaking of My Time to Shine Hello, this is about long-term signings. This one popped up on my radar. I thought it was interesting. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. X-Men obviously came out in 2000.
Yep.
So he's basically paid the character for 2.5 decades. And My Time to Shine Hello said Jackman plans to remain the Wolverine of the MCU for at least another decade, maybe 2. That's a long time.
Really?
It's like 35 years as Captain Canada.
So they're not gonna wait.
They may not reboot him. They may keep him for a decade as the Wolverine and find somebody else later down the line.
Is that confirmed though? Like,
this is My Time to Shine Hello scoop rumor that he plans to stay on for another decade. But that's old news. This is a couple weeks old.
Yeah.
It's a segue into Zoe Saldana, who we talked about a little bit, the Lioness.
Yeah.
She was doing an interview with Deadline, and she was talking about her 5 Avatar movies she signed on for.
Jesus.
She was 28 years old when they started this, and she commented about how she'll be 54 when they finish if they stay on track.
It's a long time.
That's a long time to dedicate her character, obviously Natiri. But she's been doing great in the film industry. I like I said, I love her in The Lioness, and she's been in a bunch of other stuff. Her films combining more than $14 billion.
Sheesh.
4 of them over $2 billion each, and she is in 3 of the top grossing movies of all time. So shout out to her and her career.
She's in 3 of the top grossing movies of all time?
Yeah.
Endgame, Avatar, and Infinity War, I guess?
Yeah, probably.
Or is it Avatar 2, Way of Water?
I did not list the movies, but it's probably it's Avatars and Marvel.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know
Avatars
Endgame
and
is
Disney.
up there.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, great career. Good for her.
Yeah. I mean, you don't get that too much anymore. Like people signing on, you've got how many times or how many years did
Oh, yeah,
Sir
I was
Anthony
right.
Hopkins do? Were you? It's okay.
Avatar is the first one. Avengers Endgame is number 2, and Way of Water is number 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Infinity War is
But we had
number
like
6.
Sir Anthony Hopkins playing, the serial killer. Jesus Christ, I'm drawing a blank right now.
Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal Lecter, yeah, and then we had Vader, yeah, James
Yep.
Earl Jones.
Yep.
We've had a lot of staple characters that continued through time, but like the last, like Hugh Jackman and Zoe Saldana and his Avatar character, we haven't really had many like long-term signings of franchises outside of the comic book cinematic universe besides Zoe Saldana, who did Avatar, which is
Yeah.
a whole different realm. It's got comics now, but it didn't when it started. But yeah, I
Right,
don't know.
right.
I just thought it was interesting that
Yeah.
dedicating yourself to one character for like 3 decades is
Yeah, I feel like that's the dream. It's stability, right? Like I understand both
Sure.
sides of it where you'd want to explore different characters and stuff like that, but nothing says she can't. You can do both things.
Yeah. Well, being typecast versus, because you have the Mark Hamills of the world who like he went into voice acting because everybody knew him as Luke Skywalker, and he was always Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
So it was weird for him, but yeah, I don't know.
Sure.
I just thought that was interesting.
Yeah, no, it is.
All right. So moving on, we got Jeff Snyder on the Hot Mic podcast. Margaret Qualley
Yeah.
is allegedly on Marvel's pick list for the Rogue casting.
I saw this.
Right here above my left shoulder here.
That is her.
I thought that was interesting. I don't know how I feel about that because I felt the same way about Channing Tatum playing
Gambit.
because I heard it was a Super Bowl halftime. I forget the guy that was he was a Cajun dude from New Orleans. He had an accent. I was like, that guy could play Gambit.
Yeah.
Harry Connick Jr. Yeah, Harry Connick. He did a pregame or halftime show, I think. But he's got that Bayou Cajun accent that you can like hear come out when he talks.
Right.
And like Channing Tatum, I didn't get that at all. So like Rogue has an accent. Like it felt forced to me.
Well, I mean, but that was
natural.
the point. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. I was going to say that was the whole joke of it, is that like it was completely like over embellished.
Yeah, but he wants that role. He loves that role. He thinks he could do that role.
But I think in like a legitimate setting, he could do it properly. Like that, I think the whole point was that it was a joke. I'm about to make a name for myself right here. That movie's fucking
But I thought it
hilarious.
was interesting because Jeff Snyder was talking about this, and I actually talked about this last week or the week before. He says, quote, every time I do an X-Men story, I get inundated with people in the industry who are like, who's casting the movie? There's no director on it.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. Like, you usually hire a director and you let the director pick. But apparently he indicated that Marvel is assembling the cast, which is weird. Maybe a Marvel is assembling their wish list and they're going to hand it to a director. Because if Marvel casts this film and then gives it to a director, I don't know how much faith I have in this film.
Well, listen, I mean, again, I think, I don't know. I stand by my previous statements that like superhero characters in movies should be relatively unknown or lower key actors. Now, I know you're going to argue with me and say Robert Downey Jr. was well known for sure, but his career was like over and kaput by the time he got Iron Man. Chris Evans was, of course, a known person, but he wasn't the star he is now. And that goes for all of them other than Downey.
Yeah, I mean, Scarlett Jo was...
Yeah, but she wasn't like a star like she is now. That's what I'm saying. So, like, you know, again...
I don't know. She won a BAFTA at 19, I think. One of the youngest to ever win it. So she came out on the scene pretty fast. But yeah, I mean, she wasn't a superstar by any means. But I get what you're saying.
Especially in public perception. Like, star in, like, Hollywood world is different than a star to the public. So, you know... I just think superheroes, they're such larger than life characters. You want the person to embody that person. Like I know, like again, Downey's an exception, and I love him as an actor. But when I see him, I see Tony Stark now. When I see Chris Evans, I see Cap. When I see, uh, Christopher Reeve, you see Superman. It's like that's just I don't know. That's kind of what you want. And I'm not saying you want to like typecast these people, but you don't want to see Pedro Pascal playing Reed Richards, for instance.
That's why I hate it when they go after the big names sometimes. Like RDJ was a big name because of who he was and what he had went through.
And
but he wasn't a big name because he was a big Hollywood superstar. He had been somebody that had been in films and been in some good films and then crashed and was given a chance. Like he'd come back, but I mean, how many movies did he do before Iron Man that
he was pretty iconic in the 80s, but yes, his career had died off. And it was what Kiss Kiss Bang Bang that really kind of like was one of the first movies that like revived his shit.
Kiss Kiss Bang Bang.
But it was really Iron Man. But yeah, I don't know. I just like Pedro Pascal to me, like I love him as an actor and I'm sure he's going to play a good role. He's got too much star power now at this point, and it feels like a cheap, easy casting. Like, just get Pedro to do it. But also it's like I'm going to have a hard time not seeing it as, like I said, Pedro playing Reed Richards. Whereas, like, if you put, like, I think Margaret Qualley would be good for that because, well, maybe with the substance now she's going to be a huge star, but, like, I think she's relatively unknown enough that, like, you're just going to see Rogue if she plays the part well or, whatever. So that's my whole thing. I think superheroes, like, should always be lesser known actors.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. And she's Margaret's getting her stardom from The Substance, which is Oscar nominated, obviously. So she's going to get her roses. I think she signed another deal with 20th Century, which is a subsidy of Disney. So she's got a signed deal with them to do some movie, and she's being eyed for the Rogue character. But apparently also her, along with Josh Brolin, Guy Pearce, they're joining Jacob Elordi in Ridley Scott's next film. So if you loved Gladiator 2,
oh yeah, I love that movie.
You can't wait to see what he's gonna do next. This one kind of sounds interesting. Apparently, Elordi is a Coloradan crop duster in a dystopian future. He's got a bunk with Josh Brolin, and he goes out on ever-expanding searches to find supplies in this desolate future, and he has to crash land his old-ass Cessna, and that's where he meets Margaret Qualley and Guy.
Interesting.
So, yeah, that's the plot of the story, but it's Ridley Scott. This guy's pushing 90. It's like Joe Biden running the country. You know, he's done some good things in his life, but you just don't really feel good about him doing it now.
Except Biden never did anything good in his life.
Okay.
Except maybe take out Corn Pop.
That's fair.
With the Chain of Destiny. I think
I
think Gladiator 2 might be my most hated movie of the year. I've been thinking about it.
It's bad. It is so bad.
I've been thinking about it. I'm
glad it got an Oscar nod, though.
Did it actually?
Costume. Yes, costume.
Yeah. I've been thinking about it because we're going to do probably the first episode of the month. Well, we got to figure it out either next episode or maybe after, because we're going to do our best and worst of the year. And that's a strong contender for the worst of the year, boy.
It's up there for sure.
Yeah. But
we're giving it away. All right.
That's cool. I don't know. It's not like he's incapable of making a bad movie. He's made great movies in his career. It's just, I don't know.
In the 80s and 90s, when he was actually on his game, now it feels like he's an old movie maker that's just making. This is like, what was the other one that we still haven't got around to watching that's like 3 fucking hours, the culmination of a career that had like 72 actors in it.
Megalopolis or whatever the fuck?
Megalopolis, yes.
I don't even know if that's what it's called.
That's what it's called. You're right. It's Megalopolis.
That movie was, I heard that movie was terrible.
It would probably be on my list of worst movies of the year if I watched it. It's up for, what are the Razzies? It's up for a Razzie.
That's a 4.7.
Oh my goodness. I wanted to watch it, but then I saw it was that low. I was like, I don't know if I can sit through this much garbage. because
Yeah,
it's long.
it's tough.
So, yeah. All right. Well, speaking of no names, Marvel Studios, according to my time shine, hello, another little leak. Bobby P, our boy,
Yeah,
big role in the MCU. That's all the
interesting.
news we have on it. It's just a rumor, but yeah, him moving from the Batman to, I don't know, maybe
Who could he be
the
playing?
Punisher.
No, they're not going to make him the Punisher. They already got the Punisher shored up.
Hmm. Well, now they're bringing Nick Cage back.
This person thinks Gambit.
No, definitely not the Gambit.
See, this is a problem now.
I don't
So,
know.
like we were just saying, right? Like in the beginning, Marvel, like they were great at casting. They like I think every cast thus far, for the most part, has been like a slam dunk home run.
Through
But-
Endgame.
Yeah, but I feel like now we're starting to see them like just with the ability to because they're Marvel, and also just because they've run out of like they're just it's just all star power now. It's just going to be like stars.
Yeah, they printed $100 billion through Endgame, and now they're just flushing it down the toilet, trying to get big name actors to fill the roles.
Yeah.
While they struggle to keep their head above water during this whatever this multiversal phase is. That obviously it's not all their fault. We had the COVID pandemic,
Mhm.
and we had the writers and the acting strike and all that jazz. And then
Yeah.
we had all the mergers and the reobtaining of intellectual property that changed decisions and designs, but still.
I just don't want to
You
watch
can-
like A-list celebrities cosplaying as superheroes. You know what I mean?
Correct. I
That's-
100% agree with you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny, or not funny. It's fun to get like, when you get a movie come out, you're like, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. I hope they're good. Then you get that one big name of that one role. You're like, oh, that's going to be cool.
Yeah.
But when you read a list, you're like, I know them. I from here. Like, if it's all big names,
Mhm. No,
I'm with you.
totally.
Okay. Well, speaking of big names,
Yep.
we got a little reveal. Matt Damon
Matt Damon.
is Odysseus in Christopher Nolan's next film, The
Christopher
Odyssey.
Nolan's next movie.
Yeah, The Iliad and the Odyssey.
Yeah, he
It's
looks
just
good.
The Odyssey and a new first look. Yeah, reveal. We got it today. That movie comes out July 16th, 2026.
Yep.
And talking about star-studded casts, if this is not on, Oscars, BAFTAs, Critics' Choice,
It
just
will
on the
be.
cast alone, this feels like Oscar bait almost with this cast. Have you seen the names, Dan?
Oh, trust me, I've seen him every fucking day on Twitter. It's the net. So and so has been cast in Christopher Nolan's
Holland.
next movie.
Zendaya,
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson, Lupita Nyong'o, Anne Hathaway, Charlize Theron, Benny Safdie, John Bernthal, Elliot Page, Himesh Patel, Bill Irwin, Samantha Morton, and Mia Goth,
Big cast.
among a few. This Oscar bait, I feel like.
Nah.
Production expected to begin later this month. Obviously coming out next year.
I don't
next
think-
summer.
I don't think Nolan makes Oscar bait. I think people turn it into Oscar bait because they suck this guy's dick super hard, which, I mean, rightfully so. But, like, we've talked about this before. It's just like, I don't need to know, like, every fucking, like, I've been seeing tweets about, like, like, so, like, this person's working as, like, a fucking, a grip on Christopher Nolan's next movie. It's like, Jesus, give it a rest.
Yeah. I don't know though. It'll be interesting. It's a good story.
I'm sure it'll be a great movie.
Homer's The Iliad and the Odyssey is a classic. The Odyssey is them sailing home and him having to deal with gods and monsters on the way, and his family struggling with people trying to replace him. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one. As far as a Nolan film goes, I'm gonna watch it and I'll probably and thoroughly enjoy it. I don't know if I'm excited about it yet or not, but I'll have to wait and see.
Well, listen, Nolan is one of the few directors who has yet to make a bad movie. So,
That's fair.
except maybe Dark Knight Rises, but it's not a bad movie.
Okay. We got a Constantine 2 update. Not much of one.
Closer than
Director-
ever.
Francis Lawrence, speaking exclusively with Collider. Closer than ever to being able to do a sequel, which is weird because it's already It's already pinned. They're already making it.
Very
so the fact
exciting.
that it's just building hype. He says Kiva, Keanu, and I are super excited about it. And then further on down in the interview, he says we have a great idea. We've gone through a bunch of the comics over the years and looked at things. I will say there's probably grains from the things we're pulling, but in truth, most of it's just coming from the three of us, loving the character, loving the world, having it sort of in the back of our minds for 20 years and just kind of percolating the ideas and stories and characters we love and the ideas we love. So it feels like they're making this their own, which I'm okay with. I wasn't a big Constantine comic book reader. I do have a bunch saved up in my library that I've been meaning to go through, but I've read some of them, but I haven't gone through the storylines properly. Hellblazers, yeah, some good stuff in there. So yeah, that's exciting. That
yeah, I'm hyped for that. I think
doing that.
That'll have a lot of hype, especially from like the pre MCU generation of comic book movie watchers.
Yep. Okay. Well, you got any other news before I go on the segue here, which we kind of already dusted on?
No, I didn't really have much this week. I didn't.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot.
No.
I mean, there was some stuff. Magic the Gathering. I reported on this. I don't have a link for it, but they were supposed to do a Netflix show, which they recorded all the audio and everything, and then nothing ever happened. And they asked the actor, I forget who it was, and he's like, "That's been done for years. Didn't you know?" And then it was rumored that it was still coming out on Netflix, which was surprising because Hasbro said they were done with movies and shows because of all the money they've been losing on the G.I. Joes and the Transformers. Well, they've been making money, I guess, but they said they were done with it, but apparently they're making a new movie and live action series related to Magic the Gathering, which I thought was interesting. But yeah.
My biggest thing this week was the Vince Gilligan show on Apple TV. That
yeah. Well, that's why I didn't have it in there, because usually you can.
Yeah, but I'm saying that
you posted that.
That just blew everything else out of my short-term memory. But there were a couple of other things that got announced that not excited about. True Detective season 5 is coming to town, set in New York City. A new story and characters, but will have connections to season 4 because everybody wanted a connection to season 4. Rumored to have 3 leads.
We gotta find out about this family that's doing this weird stuff everywhere.
2 males and 1 female, releasing in 2027. Unfortunately,
that's a long ways.
Yeah, well, our feelings on season 3 or 4 rather weren't too great. And the showrunner Issa Lopez is coming back, so. And I don't mean this in all the anti-woke criticism the show got. I just don't think season 4 was very good, and I know you agreed with me. We talked about it here on the channel. It just was not. It had nothing of any of the things that made True Detective good. In fact, if anything, it felt like an X-Files episode, which isn't a bad thing, but there were a lot of other weaknesses to it. So I don't know. That doesn't mean season 5 will be bad. I'm still going to watch it. I think, yeah, I don't know. Whatever. We'll see how that goes. And then another very exciting thing is Takashi Yamazaki has begun writing and storyboarding the Godzilla -1 sequel. And
awesome.
Apparently
that is cool.
Yeah, apparently it'll have a bigger budget than the previous film, which was $15 million. Pretty small budget for that great of a movie, especially with the CG too.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's exciting for you Godzilla fans out there, us included.
It wasn't super impressive CGI. It was just good.
I thought it was
CGI.
Good. Yeah. Huh. Well, you're a tough critic.
I mean, it was obvious that there were, it was low level CGI.
Of course,
I guess is what I'm saying. Which I'm not complaining about it. Don't get me wrong, because in a movie like that, I enjoy that kind of cheesiness. That's something that the Marvin can't get past because he's used to the good tech because he's a young guy. Where I'm used to, I remember stop motion animation cartoons like He-Man, where you're looking at a blank, you're looking at a still screen while the audio is going on in the background, and they kind of slightly do a little animation.
Yeah, every so often I keep seeing tweets that I think are funny. It's people are saying just the drop off in CGI quality over the years should be studied because like movies we're getting nowadays like generally have worse looking CGI than they did like 10, 15 years ago when it was like a newer technology.
I think there's okay. So I think that's an industry problem because when you had things like Jurassic Park, where they're using computer animation to the Velociraptors looking up through the drop ceiling, and you can see like letters and stuff on its face because of the shadowing of the corrugated thing. You're like, oh, that's fucking cool. You're hiring people that are trying to break standards in the industry and improve it to a better point. And then once people start doing that, you get flooded with everybody. I'm a graphic artist. And now instead of having 2 or 3 people on it that love their hobby, you have like 50 people on it, all who are just trying to get a paycheck and don't really care. The quality wanes. And then I feel like that's what Marvel's going through right now with the MCU is early on it was great, and now it's just bloated and messy. So yeah, I don't know. CGI, it's done some weird stuff. They're unionizing, so that's good for them. So the last piece of news we have, the segue here, we talked about a little bit. Mikey Madison is challenging Demi Moore's Best Actress win.
Yeah.
With a BAFTA win over the weekend. Not only that, but Anora, this movie, boasts nearly an unbeatable combination of DGA, PGA, Critics' Choice, and WGA wins.
Yep.
Okay. This is a foursome that has only failed to convert once in Oscar history.
Yeah.
Brokeback Mountain.
Well,
was the only movie to get all these awards and then shit the bed at the Oscars or just not get the awards because of the voting.
Yeah.
But this movie feels like it's going to do well. But I certainly hope that Demi steals one away because she deserves it too. So I don't know. We'll see. But that's all the news I have is, Mikey Madison.
All right. Thank you, Dusty, for the news once again. Folks, remember, if you're enjoying, the best way to support the show is to leave a like on the video, leave a comment. Let us know what you think about some of the stuff we've been talking about. We're going to get into the movie review now. Talking about Anora. Great minds think alike because I took a bunch of notes on this too, because we actually sometimes when we record we miss the news or the news happens the day after. We actually slot it in perfectly here because it just won. And you mentioned the foursome, but the PGA, the DGA, and the CCA is actually quite a trifecta, particularly for a movie that cost only $6 million. Which is the smallest budget of any Best Picture contender. Only 3 films, as you alluded to, have swept all 3 and lost the top Oscars prize, which was La La Land, Brokeback Mountain, and Saving Private Ryan. And I was reading that some, people saying a vote for Anora is sort of, in essence, a vote for movies that are made by humans with original IP and shown in theaters in a reverent fashion. As we cover here a lot, major studios are starting to become guilty of eroding the theatrical experience. Wicked was in theaters, for instance, for just 40 days before it was available on home video. Conclave waited 2 months. I just read today, actually, that what movie's out in theaters? It was out for like a week, and is on streaming. The hell is the movie? I literally just read it. I can't think of it. But yeah, so A24, a company that we always, give praise and deservedly so, they've been a little bit better at holding the line, but The Brutalist, which was they bought out of the Venice Film Festival, is actually coming to home video on Tuesday. So it's tomorrow, I think.
Looking forward to it.
And that's less than a month after its limited release in theaters. So A24, we mentioned this too, they're still like doing these like daring and pretty thought-provoking sort of like indie films, but A24 is actually becoming like a behemoth.
They
which-
were the stepping stone for directors to go on to be behemoth directors, and now they are just building their own behemoths, I guess.
It kind of started with Everything Everywhere All at Once, but they're starting to be now lumped in with like these major studios. So, yeah, I don't know. Whenever there's an Oscars upset, it's usually an indie movie that's like beating a studio Goliath. You know, you had Moonlight versus La La Land that year, Spotlight versus The Revenant, and Mad Max Fury Road. So, with this trifecta win in these other award shows, it's like very unlikely that Anora is not gonna clean up at the Oscars. But is the movie worth all this massive award buzz, Dusty? Let's talk about it and see what we have to say. So this is directed and written by Sean Baker, and it stars Mikey Madsen as Anora, or Annie, as she goes by in the film. She's an exotic dancer who lives in the Brooklyn neighborhood of Brighton Beach, close to my home, which is it has a very large, like, Russian immigrant population. And Annie knows some Russian thanks to her Russian grandmother. And one night at work, at the club she works at, she gets a VIP Russian named Vanya, who's played by Mark Edelstein. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. I probably did. And he's the son of a wealthy oligarch. And she's kind of given the task of taking care of him and his friends. They hit it off. Vanya likes Annie very much, and she likes him too. And he offers to pay her to be his private escort for the week, and she agrees. At one point during the week, he impulsively proposes they get married in Vegas so he could legally live in the United States, and she agrees. And why wouldn't she, really? A rich prince showed up and offered her a glass slipper.
Sure.
So she quits her job as a stripper and goes to live with Vanya in his parents' big Brooklyn mansion. Unfortunately, the fairy tale ending implodes, and his parents find out that he married a stripper / sex worker, and they go ballistic, and they order escort, and they order his Armenian godfather Toros, played by Karen Karagulian, to find the couple and annul the marriage. And there's some pretty funny and wild shenanigans that take place during this. So, yeah, what would you think, Dusty? General thoughts?
This was a great movie. Well written, well acted, well directed, well shot. I don't know. My only complaint is that it's 2 hours long, because, and I get that you're telling a story, but even Christina agreed with me. She said it felt a little long. There's like 40 minutes of fucking, and then, 120 minutes of movie is what it feels like. So, I mean, I guess some of that stuff needed to be in there to get the point across, because it's not very subtle in that the messages that it's trying to convey from beginning to end. And it does those things very well. It's a very poignant story. I just don't know that it needed to be 2 hours, but I loved it. This was a great film, and I strongly recommend anybody go see it.
Yeah. I didn't mind the length of it. I mean, you and Marvin love the time criticisms. I could sit and watch a movie for 4.5 hours if it, like, I think is good enough. It's when, like, it's when they're not good. Like, if you have wasted time in a movie, it becomes evident. I don't think this movie wasted any of the time.
I felt the first 20 or 30 minutes were a little bit wasted on me. I don't know. I was watching it, but I was also on my phone a little bit, kind of scrolling social media sometimes, not until paying attention until things started moving forward, because the whole Russian oligarch meets stripper, they fuck, and then they get married. Now things start happening. Like, that's the first 40 minutes. There's not a whole lot going on.
Yeah, but that stuff is important, I think, for the payoff, because
some of it is, yes, but I think you could have got the payoff without as much. But again, I get it, and it didn't bother me too much. It's just, why tell something in 2 hours when you could do it in an hour and a half? I don't know. That's just my prerogative on it. But
no,
yeah,
that's fair. This one didn't bother me. I didn't mind it. I didn't even feel the time. I was watching. I was having a good time. I was really invested in the story because the movie is really, it's not about, I mean, it is. It's not really about what it is, though. It's not about a stripper who meets a Russian oligarch and like
Correct.
gets married. It's like it's about way more than that. Really, it's about this woman who her whole life has treated sex as a business and like transactionally, and sort of not really having like actual human connection with people.
Right. You're chasing the rainbow.
Yeah. So I think the movie was sort of shot like a roller coaster in a sense where it's like you have like you're introduced to her in a really excellent manner, I thought, because like you see the way she operates at work. And, you know, I don't know if you've ever been to a strip club. I've only been ever twice in my whole life, and neither time was enjoyable. But it's like they are professional salespeople. Like,
yes.
and the movie
Their
depicted,
job is not to dance for you. Their job is to talk to you
Yep.
and get your money.
they and the movie depicted that really well because
Yes, it did. It did a very good job.
of like the girls like not pressuring the guys, but like convincing them of like going up to them, hey, how you doing? Hey, oh, you don't have any money? Let's go to the ATM. Let's just grab some money. We'll go get a room. And so it really sells the fact that like this is a business for her. This is how she makes her living and her livelihood. The only thing I was a little unclear on is like the extracurricular stuff that kind of like painted her more as like an escort. I wasn't sure, and I don't know if the movie really like explains it or if it had to be explained really, but I was unsure if that's like something she does all the time or if she was making the exception for Vanya, which I'm pretty sure she was making the exception for him because she did like him. She was taken by him because
I don't know that I got the same thing. I feel like it felt like that, like that's a normalcy for that type of job. Is you're doing that job not necessarily because you want to and you enjoy it. It's because it's easy, or not necessarily easy, because the movie showed is certainly difficult, but relatively easy as far as jobs go, I guess.
Yeah.
So you can get through it, but you're chasing that pot of gold. You're trying to find, you know, the one guy, the Richard Gere, that's going to sweep you off your feet and make you, you know, a trophy wife.
And
or
you see that
whatever.
in her. She's like bragging to her friends,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
"Oh, girl, I hit the jackpot." Like
Right.
I think she's kind of skirting the line. Like at first she saw it as like you said, a pot of gold, and this is her like ticket to, you know, a great life with, you know, having money and whatever. But I think she does like him at a certain point. Like she
Oh, sure.
she grows to like
she
him.
has to like him. Like, I don't think that, well, and you know, I don't know. I can't speak for women per se, but I don't think women get into that and chase that to just settle down with some guy that has money. They want to like the guy.
Yeah, for sure.
Whose pot of gold they're chasing, because if they don't like the guy,
Yeah.
then they're just going to be miserable until he's dead or they're divorced. So there has to be some sort of.
I thought the movie did a really good job of like playing both sides of the fence there with her.
Yeah.
Like showing her that like, you know, she sure has desires, but like also she ends up liking him and stuff like that. But yeah, I thought the movie was fantastic. I loved it straight through. And again, to just address what you were saying about the time, because of what we were just talking about of what it has to like really illustrate, I think the length was good because it takes you on like this roller coaster of like, you know, she's doing her job, treating it as a business. She meets this guy, treating it like a business, but slowly but surely starts to like him. And then it crashes and burns. And then like you have the back half where it like all kind of tanks a little bit. So they're having this like honeymoon vacation, spending a week together and like having fun and partying. And, you know, you like you said, there's a lot of sex, but I think that sex wasn't just there for like shock value or anything. I think it did actually serve the plot because at one point she says to him, like he's fucking like a kid. He's just like really fast
rabbit.
about it and not doing it in a passionate or compassionate way. And she says to him, she's like, you know, slow down. You'll enjoy it more, basically. And I think that was like a key thing for what happens later in the movie. And I'll explain that. But yeah, about midway through, they get married, and Toros, his godfather, sends two goons over to the house, Garnick and Igor, and they send them to basically kidnap Annie and Vanya and force them to annul the marriage. So the two refuse to cooperate, but when Vanya hears that his parents are flying in from Russia to pick him up, he runs away and he abandons Annie at the house and leaves her with the two goons. And like, this whole part of the movie was so fucking funny. And I don't know,
It was good.
like, I know
Really good.
it says it's a comedy. I don't know. The movie does such a good job of like veering in and out of like drama and comedy and romance and back. But this whole part, these two henchmen, especially Igor, and I know he was nominated for an award too, is so
Rightly so.
fucking funny. Yeah. So Garnick was played by Vashi Tavmasian, and Igor is played by Yura Borisov. He's the one who was nominated. I think he was.
They both did great jobs.
Yeah.
I thought the dude. I thought the varnish or whatever. He was going to die from a concussion sickness, or I thought he was going to pass out and not wake up. Like
Yeah.
the way that he was just like, oh,
Yeah.
okay, it's good.
And
Like,
they
the whole
fucking
movie was
vomited all over the car. Yeah. But Yuri, he's the one. He's Yura Borisov is nominated for best performance by an actor in a supporting role. So supporting actor, which again, like you said, rightfully so. So this is a turning point in the movie because you're like, oh, because the movie is really great in the sense that like you feel it. Because I had originally in my notes, I was like, wow, this is a really interesting take on a rom-com because it's funny and like they're partying and they're falling in love, and I feel like the movie did such a good job. It puts you in the shoes of Annie and sort of made us, the audience, feel like he was in love with us too.
Yeah, this is Pretty Woman with like a demented twist to it.
Because the moment he runs away, you realize along with her that like, oh, he never really loved me or her.
Correct.
He was just partying, which he confirms a little bit later. But so, you know, she's dealing with these two henchmen. She's dealing with the fact that he left, and she's like, no, he loves me. I'm his wife. Like, we're not getting this annulled. His parents can kick rocks. And there's a really like couple of funny moments where they're like wrestling with her and she breaks the one guy's nose. And eventually Toros arrives and he informs Annie that like Vanya is just an immature child and he's been like basically babysitting this kid his whole life, and he's caused nothing but problems. Their marriage is a sham. He takes her wedding ring and he offers her $10,000 if she agrees to go along with the annulment. There's a really funny line here that Toros said. He said something along the lines of like when he's convincing her that like he's just a child. He says something. He's like, you know that room you've been fucking in? That's his parents. He's like, you know where his room is? It's down the hall with fucking spaceships on the wall. It made me laugh quite a bit because, I don't know. It was just funny, the delivery. But but yeah, so she's insisting that the marriage is real and stuff, and the parents come. They a whole bunch of madness ensues as they go to look for him as he ran away. They spend the whole night going to different clubs and some of his hangouts and stuff to try to find him. He's not answering the phone. Finally they find him, and you realize that like he was never really serious about this. And at one point they have to fly to Vegas where they got married to annul it with the parents, and he says to her like, hey, like thanks for making my last time in America fun. And she kind of realizes like, wow, this was all just like a fun game to him, where like for her it was really like, you know, like she
a chance at security and real change in her life.
Yeah, and she thought like, wow, I found somebody who like actually cares about me more than just as a stripper or an object or whatever. And so much so that like she holds out hope. She still believes like once because he's shit-faced when they find him, she believes that he's going to take her side when he sobers up. And you kind of do too. You're waiting for the moment to be like, for have him in that, like to have that rom-com moment where he like steps up,
do the right thing. Yeah.
And fucking tells his parents to fuck off and that he loves her, but he never does. And then that's like that's where the movie takes like that twist. And you're just like, oh, well, this is kind of dark.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is, but you kind of, if you could see the signs, you could see that there was something brewing from the whole Igor thing earlier on. That did you see that happening?
With
That
Igor,
yeah,
where Igor's like slow, he feels bad for her, obviously.
he's developing emotions for her because he's seeing the struggle that she's going through, and he's probably seen it before
Mm-hmm.
or something similar, and he just has empathy for her.
Yeah.
And she fucking hates him the whole goddamn time. But slowly, like she warms up to him, and then the twist of the movie is they kind of hook up at the end. But
Yeah.
like it felt pretty obvious that that's where the movie was going. Not that the asshole son was finally gonna do the right thing and make a proper woman out of her, but
Well, yeah, I the ending is interesting. You brought it up. I had something more I wanted to talk about it, which we'll get to
Sure,
in a
go
minute,
ahead.
because
Yeah.
I think people are actually looking at the ending the wrong way. But
Well,
it's
I
like,
don't know how other people are looking at
well,
it.
it's like a key part of the movie, obviously.
Sure.
So anyhow, the movie ends like, I guess, he goes back home. The kid, he gets taken back to Russia to actually like work for his dad. And she's kind of just like, left to realize like, he fucking sucked and never really cared about her. And so the movie ends with Igor, one of the
Henchman.
henchmen, I guess you could say. And as Dusty, as you alluded to, like during the fight sequence in the house where she's trying to run away, and he keeps like the funny stuff where he ties her up, and it's like, why the fuck are you tying her up? Like, what do you do? He's like, she's gonna try to run. Like he's like, you took it as like him like falling for her. I didn't really take it as that. I kind of just thought like, yes, he feels bad for what she's going through because he's like a nice person, but and also like he sort of like he sees her fire and is kind of like, oh wow, that's like good for her, like she's cool.
Yep.
But I think totally differently about Igor, and it's that he is sort of like her in a lot of ways, working
Yes.
a job and he might not
Living with his
necessarily
grandma.
want to do. He's taking care of his sick grandma. And so they're very similar characters in that sense, that they're just like working class people that get taken advantage of by their bosses or what they do
Yep.
for work and stuff like that. And he's just kind of like doing a job, but he like never really did. Like, she's framing him. She says to him, you assaulted me, you tied me up, like you kidnapped me. It's assault and battery, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah,
And
you raped me. You got the rape eyes.
he says like, I just wanted to keep you. I wanted to make sure you didn't hurt yourself. When she says, yeah, you would have raped me if you had the chance because you have rape eyes. He's like, I'm not a rapist. Like,
Yeah.
So, and there's little moments throughout this night of chaos where he does little nice things. He gives her a scarf because it's cold out. And, slowly but surely you start to see that he's like, sort of like helping her a little bit and like trying to just be gentle with her.
Feels like a respectable human being
Mhm.
that is making some money, but also trying to kind of do the right thing and not like.
He gives his partner medication for the broken nose, and she asks for some to do like recreationally to take the edge off. And he's like, I'm not giving you anything. He's like, I'm not a fucking drug dealer.
A drug dealer. Yeah.
So he's just genuinely a nice guy who is just doing a job to, like you said, to get by and like take care of his sick grandma. So the movie ends with him taking her to the bank. He gives her the $10,000 of cash that she's owed, part of the deal. And he drives her home. He carries her bags up to the door, and you start to see her realize that like, oh, he's a pretty nice guy. And the final act of kindness is that he ended up stealing the engagement ring from Toros to give to her. And you assume, what was it, 5-carat ring or 4-carat ring?
4 or 5, yeah.
I don't know how much a 4-carat diamond costs, but let's see.
It's like $1,000 a carat or something. I don't remember.
So okay, so it could range from $50,000 to $500,000. Let's just is what I'm seeing here. So either way, very expensive ring, more than likely. And he gives it to her for 2 reasons. One, it's a symbol of like, you deserve this because like, fuck these people. They were just not kind. And also, like, here, you sell it and fucking make some extra money. $10,000 is nothing for what you went through. So it was a really kind gesture. And, you know, he even says to her at one point, like, you know, fuck that family. Like, you didn't want to be part of that family anyway. And so here's where, like, people have deviating opinions. So after this, she kind of, like, once he carries her bags up, she kind of, like, looks at him and is like, wow, he's a really nice guy. She climbs on top of him in the car and starts to have sex with him. And he goes to kiss her, and she kind of, like, fights him off. She breaks down crying, and he holds her while she's crying, and the movie ends that way. And there's no music in the credits. It's actually pretty nice moment where she's just crying and he's holding her through the credits.
It's the big payoff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the big payoff because, you know, some people were saying that, like, I saw a lot of weird, like, mixed things about it. Like, I never took it as him liking her, right? Like, he obviously is a little bit into her, but I saw some people saying, like, this is, you know, he was just another fucked up guy because, like, if he was trying to get in her pants by doing all these nice things and, like, all this weird shit. And I'm like, do you have any media literacy? Like, how is that your takeaway? Or that, like, him going to kiss her was, like, aggressive and, like, he did that's why she cries, because he actually did assault her in that moment because he was too aggressive with pulling her face towards him. And I'm like, what the fuck are people saying?
You could argue that you could argue that he assaulted her. I mean, if you want to argue that that's assault, but
I don't think so.
I don't know. I took it completely different in that all she knows is that sex is transactional, and she felt something towards him more than what she realized because she's been shit talking him the entire film. And she kind of feels bad because she kind of realizes that he's in this just as much as she's in this, and, like, in life, like the struggle of life. And so she, like, hops on him, and he tries to hold her to kiss her because, like, he actually does, I think, have some feelings for her over the course of their adventure together. It was his birthday. Maybe you don't think he has feelings, but he tried to kiss her and she's pulling back and he's trying to pull her down. Like, there's a tension there that's, like, not her prerogative. That's not what she's used to. That's not what strippers know or do. They don't do that. They don't kiss on the mouth.
Yeah.
And for him to try to do that was a form of
compassion,
breaking her barrier, but he did break her barrier down in that, like, he realized that was a step too far, and so he let go and he just held her and gave her what she needed and not necessarily what he wanted to do. So that was a huge scene. I loved that scene. It was very
great way.
There was no subtlety about it. It was very deliberate in how it was done, but it was great.
Sean Baker said the original scene had that ending in a conversation, but he and Mikey agreed that, like, now it's better to just sort of end it in silence.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
Yeah, so I think it's neither here nor there whether he likes her in any way,
sure,
or whether she likes him, because that's not what the movie was building to, really. Like, it's a movie about, like, again, you know, you could argue that, like, she saw her pot of gold and her opportunity for her golden ticket, but I think it was more than that. I think it was her being like, wow, this guy actually likes me, this kid. Like, he actually wants me around and wants to marry me. He likes me. Whereas every other man in her life, because of her work, treats her as an object, right? And so, well, so hang on. So when she gets crushed by this kid who she realizes was just treating her the way everybody else does, this ending becomes so much more important. And I think, so she starts crying, I think, because she realizes, and also keep in mind, she didn't hop on top of him until she mentioned his car. She's like, this car is like, this is like totally a you car. And he's like, oh, it's my grandma's. And it's the moment she really realizes that he is just like her, because if you remember earlier in the film, she mentions, I learned Russian from my grandma. So you could assume that she was raised by her grandmother, because her mom lives in Miami with her man. And, like, you could just tell it's like a fractured family and that her grandmother probably raised her. So she realizes, like, wow, he's just like me. But she starts crying when the kiss happens because she realizes she's trying to use sex as a currency to thank Igor, is really what it is. She's trying to thank him in the only way she knows, in that with sex. That's her form of currency in her life. So she's treating herself really the same way Vanya treated her throughout the movie and acting as the prostitute that she was accused of being. So, like I said, all her life she used she used sex as a product rather than a means of actual human connection. So, now you have this person who thought she had love with Vanya, but it turned out he was just using her too. So Igor,
Right.
I think Igor going in to kiss her was like, it's an actual connection. Kissing is like a very
It's
connective
intimate.
thing. It's an intimate thing. So that's Igor looking for a connection rather than just sex. And I think that realization just kind of like broke her down. Like, wow, an actual human.
Yeah, I guess my only problem with that premise is she comes off as a very experienced stripper, escort, whatever it is that she does.
Yeah.
And I feel like she would be disillusioned because of how long she's been in the industry or what she portrays as in the beginning of the film. I feel like she would be disillusioned about the happily ever after Richard Gere, type story of some rich guy is going to fall in love with me and give me everything.
Yeah.
So for her to, meet this guy, sure, he's Russian and she knows a little Russian, and sure, he's willing to spend some extra money on her, and she negotiates 15,000. He said he would have given her 30. She said she would have done it for 10. And there's like 3 or 4 $250,000 cars in the garage, and she's talking about going to court and suing. She could have got $1 million if she wanted to. This is how fucking rich I feel like these people are. They could have thrown $1 million at her and she would have gone away. But to say that, like, oh, she actually thought this guy loved her and liked her, and after 2 weeks she thought everything was going to be happily ever after. I don't know that was a premise that I took away from it. I think she wanted it to be real, but I think she was very aware that it was her own
Naivety.
I don't know, naivety, I guess, to think that things like that actually happen.
Could have
you know
been.
what I'm saying?
No, you could be right too, but I don't think in either way, I don't think that changes the meaning of the ending of that, like of what I said.
Oh no,
is that
absolutely
how,
not.
like-
Yeah, no, we can agree on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just felt a little different about her. Like, oh, this guy actually likes me or loves me. I feel like after a week, if you've been stripping for a while and
Yeah.
you hang out with a dude for a week and he's like, hey, will you marry me? And he looks your Google name up, like, yeah, I feel like hesitancy might be your first step instead of like, oh, this is the dream come true. This is,
The crying, though, I think is just relief, not hurt or pain or anything like that. And
sure.
It was weird to see that interpretation of it online, which is like I don't know, like what? I was like super baffled when I saw those takes. I was like, what? Like, she's not she's not crying because she was just physically assaulted. It's like she's being embraced by somebody who's actually a human being.
She's not used to, well, she's used to not allowing that sort of intimacy because sex is transactional. So when he's just trying to be a human with her, she's not used to that. And so she has to fight against it because it's not in her nature.
Yeah, because he didn't see the sex as transactional at that moment.
Sure.
And that's why I mentioned, so if we back up the gravy train a little bit, I mentioned to you earlier, the way Vanya had sex with her is very fast and cold.
Yes.
And like, it wasn't inexperience. It was coldness. It lacked the compassion and like the stuff that like, and what I would argue makes sex good. Like if you want to just get off, you could just do it by yourself in the bathroom. Like you don't need another body there with you. And so that's why that was so important when she tells Vanya, like, slow it down, because that's the moment she starts to like.
Well, in the other scene
like
where
him.
she's like, you paid for an hour, we could go again, and like 5 seconds later, he's done again. Like, yeah, they drive that point home, and you're right, they make that point, but I still feel like the first 30 minutes, it was a little excessive on all.
Yeah,
of it.
but again, I'm not arguing that it's excessive, but I think it's like purposefully done. Because they wanted to drive that point home. That's like, look at all this transactional, cold, passionless sex. And then here's this person at the end who's like, he doesn't see it that way. She climbs on top of him and he's just like, oh, like we're two human beings who like kind of have like a little spark here. And then that's why she breaks down, because she's like, wow, this is like actually, this is what real emotion feels like. But yeah, I thought they tackled all these themes and stuff like brilliantly. I thought the movie was completely excellent, top to bottom, like you said, excellent directing, excellent cinematography. The music was awesome. The acting was fantastic from everybody in it.
The dialogue was hilarious at times, just great.
The dialogue was amazing. It felt real. It didn't feel like it was like forced or anything like that. So yeah, I don't think there wasn't a single thing about this movie that I didn't like or that I would change. And I think it might be the best movie of 2024. I'm not going to lie. 2024 has been a good year. We've had a lot of really good movies.
Yeah.
A lot of good movies. But this one just knocked it out of the park and blew me away, honestly. Like,
good.
For as simple as it is, it's just an amazing movie. Like, it was fantastic. And I think it probably will clean up at the Oscars. I hope it does. I think it deserves it.
It definitely deserves some roses. Yeah, they deserve some accolades, but sweep. Who knows?
I thought, and I hope he wins Best Supporting Actor because he was fucking hilarious. And he's also like a really good character. Like, he's a very well written character for somebody that has like not much dialogue. There was that really funny moment where they're at the gas station and he's fucking literally smoking next to the gas pump. And, and the other dude yells at him. He's like, oh, what? I'm careful. He was just a very funny guy. Okay. And then there's the moment in the candy store where they make it so that you realize that, like, yeah, he's funny and whatever, but like,
he's a badass.
When he has to do some shit, when shit has to get done, like, he's your guy. He just like, strips the guy with the bat and just starts breaking shit. Like, he could play both sides of the fence, but and the other thing I really liked about this movie too is the depiction of the characters. They stand in such stark contrast to Igor. I'm sorry, not Igor. The hell's his name? Ivan and his parents, because every one of them is like just doing a job, really, right? Both the henchman, Igor, and the other guy, they're like, they're just doing a job. Like, with the one guy, he gets his nose broken, and like you said, he's having like, issues throughout the whole movie. He's concussed.
And he's sick. Yeah.
And he's like, I just want to go home. I just want to go back to Yemen. Not Yemen. Where are they from? Armenia. He's like, I just want to go back home.
Yeah, Armenians.
He's like, I didn't sign up for all this. Toros, like, he's basically Ivan's handler. He got pulled out of a family
ceremony. I don't know what it was. Was it a baptism?
Yeah, and he's like a priest or something. He had to
hands off the baby and got to go.
Yeah, he had to drop what he was doing and go clean up this mess that the kid started. And there's a couple points throughout where he makes mention of it, but we hear a conversation on the phone with his wife. He's like, please, I'll fix this, blah blah blah. Like, he says to Annie, like, like, what do you think? Like, this doesn't suck for me. Like, he fucked you. He fucked me too. Like, my family's fucking pissed at me. They might never talk to me again. My wife is pissed at me. My bosses are pissed at me. So I thought the movie did a really great job of, like, all these characters are like her, that they're just doing a job that they maybe don't want to do to make ends meet and stuff. And then you get the contrast of the two parents from Russia, where the mother's like a fucking mob boss or whatever the hell they do. The dad is just like laughing hysterically because he realizes, like, this is just stupid. My son's being an idiot, and could just throw money at the situation. And so, and for him, it was like, for Vanya, it wasn't like it wasn't anything. It was just another, like, it was just a fun little thing that he did in America one time.
Yep, it's a story for him, for his pals.
So I just thought that was a really portrayed well about, like, again, that contrast of, like, this had real consequences for everybody else in the movie except for these three Russian people who were
the rich fucks.
Yeah, they just don't give a fuck. It's nothing to them. And the way she threatens Annie too, when she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to court. I didn't sign a prenup," and she's like, "You really want to do that? You don't have the money to do that, and I'll ruin your whole life." And it's just like, "Oh, yeah, okay." So, yeah, I don't know. I loved everything about this movie. I thought it was brilliant, really, really good. A movie I would rewatch too. So. Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Rewatch. Yeah, I'll watch it again. but I probably won't sit down and watch the beginning and end. Like I'll put it on and let it run for a little while, then I'll sit down and watch the parts I like. Because there's some really, really great parts in this movie that definitely need to be watched, but some of it I feel like is a little bit of filler.
Okay, that's fair. Is there anything else you wanted to mention before we wrap it up?
No, I don't think so. Yeah, no.
I might have to go out
pretty
and
much
find
covered
me
it
a Russian oligarch. I don't know about you. I could use a life like that. He was just throwing money at her, man. Whew.
Yeah. That was one of my complaints about it, I guess, is like the money aspect of it. Like he asked her to hang out for 10 grand for a week and she said 15. He's like, you should ask for 30. She's like, I would have done it for 10. And then the guy's like, we'll give you 10 grand for your problems. Like, I got 10 grand for just hanging out with your son. Like the problems are tenfold that. Give me $100,000. Like it felt like the money amount was weird for billionaire Russian oligarchs who have $2 million in cars and their own private hangar with helicopters and jets and shit. It feels like $10,000 was spit in a bucket. Like that's what you tip your waiter when you go to a nice restaurant.
I think that illustrates sort of what I was just saying too, is like the contrast between the powerful and everybody else is because like, yeah, they have the money to like really make it right for her, but they don't care. It's just like, here, take this and get the fuck out of here. Like, you know.
That's fair. Yeah.
The moment with his mother too was really fucked up because like she genuinely looked excited to like talk to his mom, even as shit was hitting the fan, and try to like make it right and try to be like, no, like I know you're upset, but like me and your son, like we really love each other. And the mother's like what? Like you'll never be in our fucking family. Like it was just they did a really good job of that because you mentioned whatchamacallit, the movie with Richard Gere, Pretty Woman. Because that movie has a happy ending, right? Like, this doesn't, and it like you almost think it's going to, and you're waiting for it to happen, but it doesn't. So
it's basically what Pretty Woman should have been if it weren't, a romantic love story. It's the reality of what would actually probably happen.
Yeah, but no, this was a great movie. It's got a 7.7 on IMDb. Like we said, it's probably going to clean house at the Oscars, but this is perfect for me. 10 out of 10.
I'll give it a bump. It's an 8.
Okay.
I don't know if I can go much higher than that because of the runtime and a couple other little things, but I'll enjoy it again. I'll sit down with some friends and watch it, talk about it. It's an interesting, fascinating story. I loved it though.
This is a great review right here. This is about class. It's a class commentary is what it is,
Yep.
So, all right. Well, there you have it, folks. There's our thoughts on Anora, what might be this year's best picture, best director, best everything. It's looking like it might clean house.
Good sweep.
Leave your thoughts down below. Leave a comment. Tell us what you thought of Anora. We'd be curious to hear about it, especially what you thought of that ending. Because again, I'm dumbfounded that anybody saw that ending as anything other than what I'm fairly confident it was. So let us know what you thought there. If you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the conversation, leave a like on it. It helps us out tremendously. Consider subscribing if you have not done so already. And if you're over on some of the other platforms like Spotify or Apple, you could leave a rating. You can come on over to YouTube and follow us there as well. So we appreciate you guys hanging out with us. We'll be back next week. Next week is what? Make Marvin Watch week, right?
Is it?
I think so, yeah. Yep, it is. Make Marvin Watch. We're making Marvin watch Dave this month.
Oh, that's right.
One of my favorite movies. I hope
Great
Marvin
movie.
likes it. But yeah, so check back in with us and we'll catch you then.
Asta.